The needle that unmakes weddings. Long, long ago in an Indian community, there was a small town tucked between 3 hills and a river that split into silver braids whenever the rain swelled it. People said the river had a voice, humming at dawn, scolding at dusk, roaring at night. In that same town lived a tailor named Mara Loon, the sort of woman who always sat by a window, a streak of sunlight painting her cheek like a blessing she never asked for. Her shop was not the fanciest, not the largest, not the one with the prettiest sign. In fact, most days people didn't even seem to notice it existed until a bride needed a miracle. And that was where everything always began. Because every bride fitted by Mara never got married. Not one, not ever. Nobody said Mara was cursed, not to her face anyway, but whispers traveled faster than a suit pinned in place, faster than a hem stitched in haste. Don't sew your wedding outfit with her, else the wedding will not hold. That woman, she has cursed fingers. Do not go to her, she would unmake your joy. Entire families swore they would never set foot in her shop. But when disaster struck, when a gown ripped, or the seamstress originally hired fell ill, or the dress ordered from the city arrived 2 sizes too small and 3 shades too yellow, people called her. Because Mara could fix anything except the future. The strange pattern began long before anyone realized it. The first bride was Letty Vian, the mayor's daughter, known for her rosewater perfume and her disastrously high expectations. She came to Mara in tears, clutching her gown like a lifeline. "Mara, the train tore. The silk is ruined. My wedding is this Saturday. Please, please fix it." Mara studied the tear, long as a scream, jagged as a sob. A lesser tailor might have refused, but Mara's hands were steady. Her eyes saw seams the way astronomers saw constellations. "I'll fix it," Mara said simply. She worked through the night, and by dawn the dress looked as though music had woven it. Letty cried again, this time with joy, hugged Mara, paid her generously, and ran off. 2 days later, the wedding was canceled. Letty's fiancé confessed. Apparently, he had never loved her, not the way a man should love a woman he planned to marry. The truth spilled out like a toppled bouquet. People murmured about heartbreak, about honesty, about wrong timing. Nobody blamed the dress. Not then. The second bride was Karina Silt, a quiet librarian whose wedding theme was sunset blush. Everything was soft pink, her invitations, her shoes, even her fiancé's pocket square. She came to Mara with a gown that needed major alterations. "It'll take a miracle," Karina said sheepishly. "Good thing miracles are half price on Wednesdays," Mara joked. Karina laughed, and for a moment, Mara's shop felt warm. The gown was transformed, sleek, ethereal, floating like storm-touched clouds. But 3 days before the wedding, Karina's fiancé vanished. Not ran away, not called it off. Vanished. Gone without a note, a shoe print, or explanation. People whispered that maybe he had cold feet, or maybe some unseen trouble had swallowed him. No one knew. But Karina's wedding? Canceled. And that was when people started paying attention. Word spread like spilled pins. A third bride. A fourth, a 17th. Every single woman whose wedding dress Mara touched, hemmed, altered, repaired, crafted, fitted, saw her wedding dissolve. Sometimes gently, sometimes explosively, sometimes tragically. One bride discovered her fiancé had a secret family. Another caught hers cheating. Another realized she didn't want to marry after all and left the wedding hall running barefoot through the street. Another suffered a storm that flooded the venue to the ceiling. There were breakups, scandals, epiphanies, medical emergencies, missing grooms, runaway brides, destroyed venues, family explosions, and once, this one made the local headlines, a minister who simply refused to show up, claiming he had a dream in which the union was forbidden. Almost every bride admitted afterwards that they felt some strange clarity, some sudden understanding, some revelation that saved them from making the biggest mistake of their life. But nobody admitted this publicly, because publicly it was simply said, if Mara Loon touches your dress, the wedding will not happen. Despite the growing legend, Mara lived quietly. She didn't advertise, didn't gossip, didn't attend weddings, didn't even look like someone with enough power to topple marriages. She looked tired most days, hair in a bun with a few strands falling like loose threads. Her hands were calloused, her posture slightly bent. She wore the same navy apron every day, stained with chalk dust and fraying at the edges. But her eyes, those were peculiar. Gray, sharp, old, even though she was not. Some said she had no husband. Others said she had one once. Others said she never needed one. Nobody knew for sure because Mara never told. For years, brides avoided Mara. But one day, after an unseasonably violent storm tore through the town, a woman named Isla Rin stepped into Mara's shop holding a dress that looked like it had survived a war. It was the storm, Isla said. It blew the barn doors open where we were storing everything. My dress was shredded. I need it fixed by Friday. Mara looked at the gown. The bodice was ripped down the center. The skirt had mud stains like bruises. The lace was tangled, shredded, twisted. Isla, Mara said, you know what they say. Isla hesitated. I do. And do you still want me to fix it? I do. Mara paused. Your wedding might be canceled. Isla met her gaze. If my relationship can't survive a dress alteration, Mara, then maybe it shouldn't survive at all. For the first time in a long while, Mara felt something warm stir in her chest. Respect, maybe even hope. I'll do my best, Mara said. Mara did not sleep that night. She worked with the old lamp flickering above her, the shadows shifting around her like curious spirits. As she stitched, the needle pricked her finger. A single drop of blood fell on the fabric. The dress glowed faintly for a moment. Mara froze. Not again, she whispered. Because Mara hadn't always been a tailor of broken weddings. Once, many years ago, she was a bride. Her name then was not Loon, but something else, something she no longer spoke aloud. She had loved a man with laughter like wind chimes. They were planning a life together. She spent months sewing her own dress, silk from her grandmother's village, lace made by her aunt, pearls stitched along the neckline one by one. But days before the ceremony, while she worked on the final hem, a prophecy maker, a woman with silver eyes, came into her shop. You sew with too much hope, the prophet said. You sew futures into fabric, but you do not see the truth. What truth? That the man you will marry will break you. Mara laughed. She didn't believe in prophecies. But the prophet spoke again, voice like needles on bone. If you finish this dress, you will marry him. If you marry him, your life will end in sorrow. But if you prick your finger on the final stitch, the thread of your marriage will unravel before it begins. You will never wed, and no bride you ever sew for will. Mara called it nonsense, but at the final stitch, her hand slipped, piercing her skin. Blood dotted the silk. The dress glowed. And the next morning, her fiancé confessed he didn't love her anymore. He left her at dawn. The prophet returned only once, saying, You saved yourself, but the power stays with you now. Your needle unravels false love. It cannot mend what was never meant to be. Mara tried to rebel against it. She tried making dresses for younger brides, older brides, rich ones, poor ones. The result was always the same: broken engagements, canceled ceremonies. She eventually stopped sewing wedding gowns entirely, but every once in a while, when a bride's desperation broke through every fear, the curse called her back. And every time, the same thing happened. Until Isla. Isla returned for her fitting. The dress was beautiful again, more beautiful than before, though Mara had no idea how her hands had done it. As Isla stepped onto the fitting platform, the bell above the door jingled. In walked her groom, Jonas, handsome in a rugged way, hair tousled by the wind, eyes warm and hopeful. He saw Isla in her gown and smiled like sunrise. "Mara," Isla said, "I want you to meet Jonas." Jonas stepped forward and extended his hand. "I wanted to thank you," he said. "This dress means everything to Isla, and Isla means everything to me." Mara didn't shake his hand. She couldn't. Her palms tingled. Her curse, her gift, her burden was reacting. She saw something behind Jonas's eyes, a shadow, a hesitation, a fault line. Not deceit, not betrayal, not malice, but an unspoken truth. And that was all it took. Mara swallowed. "You should go," she said quietly. Jonas blinked. What?" Ayla looked startled. "Mara?" "Grooms aren't allowed during fittings," Mara lied. Ayla frowned. "Since when?" "Since now." Jonas looked confused, but Ayla ushered him out gently. And Mara watched them go, feeling a terrible storm rising inside her. 2 nights before the wedding, Jonas returned. He knocked on Mara's door long after the shop was closed. "Mara?" His voice trembled. "Please, let me talk to you." Against her better judgment, she opened the door. Jonas stood there under the moonlight, looking like a man carrying a boulder on his back. "Something's wrong," he said. Mara's throat tightened. "What do you think is wrong?" "I don't know." He ran a hand through his hair. When I saw Ayla in that dress, something hit me. Not doubt, not fear, something else." He hesitated. Mara waited. "I keep feeling like I'm lying to her," he said. "But I'm not. I love her, I do. But there's something I haven't told her. Something I didn't think mattered, but now it feels huge." Mara closed her eyes. The curse was working. "What haven't you told her?" she asked softly. Jonas looked at her with shame. "I'm sick, Mara." Mara's heart dropped. "Sick?" "I have a condition. Not fatal, not now, but progressive. Eventually, I'll lose the use of my legs. Maybe more." Mara swallowed. "Why didn't you tell her?" "I didn't want to burden her. I didn't want her to think she had to choose between loving me and living the life she deserves. But now," he shook his head, "now I feel like she deserves the truth." And it hit Mara like a blow. Her curse didn't just break weddings. It revealed truths. Truths brides, and sometimes grooms, needed to see. "So what are you going to do?" Mara asked. Jonas looked toward the darkened street. "I'll tell her tomorrow." The next day, Ayla came into the shop with puffy eyes. "He told me, Mara. Jonas told me everything." Mara braced herself. "And?" she asked gently. Ayla sank onto a stool. "And I cried," she said. "I cried for him, for us, for the future we imagined. But I didn't cry because he hid it. I cried because he was scared to tell me." She sniffed. "Mara, I still love him. Nothing changed that." Mara's chest tightened with a rare ache. "Hope." "It's your wedding day tomorrow," Mara said softly. "I know." "Do you still want to marry him?" Ayla didn't hesitate. "Yes." Mara stared. Her curse, her needle, her blood-threaded gift tugged at the edges of reality, searching for lies, for hidden truths, for fractures. But Ayla's resolve was strong, steel strong. thread strong. This love was real. Even Mara could feel it. That night, Mara sat in her shop staring at Ayla's gown. She whispered to it, "You cannot undo this wedding." The dress glowed faintly, as it always did when touched by her gift. "You will not unravel what is true," she said again. The dress flickered, one pulse like a heartbeat, and then it stilled. Mara exhaled, tears filling her eyes. For the first time since her own ruined wedding, she felt the thread loosen, just slightly, like part of her curse was lifting. The entire town gathered. It was a colorful event. They whispered as Ayla walked down the aisle. She had Mara fix her dress. The wedding will be ruined. Any moment now. Wait for it. Poor girl. Brave girl. She should have gone somewhere else. No, Mara's the best. And cursed. Hush! But nothing happened. No storm, no crisis, no confession, no disappearance, no panic, no disaster. Jonas stood there waiting for her with love in his eyes. Ayla smiled like she was walking toward her destiny. And Mara, watching from far in the back, hidden under the shade of a tree, felt something deep inside her shift. The couple had invited her, and she had graced the occasion. When the minister spoke the final words, "I now pronounce you husband and wife," a rush of wind swept through the chapel, but not a destructive one, a freeing one. Mara's breath hitched, her fingers tingled. Her curse, her burden, her gift, broke. It snapped like an old thread, releasing decades of tangled fate. Ayla and Jonas kissed, and nothing unraveled. The reception was warm, joyful, almost magical. People danced, laughed, celebrated. Ayla found Mara standing quietly by the lemonade table. "You came," Ayla said softly. Mara shrugged. "I wasn't going to, but I felt drawn." Ayla hugged her. For a moment, Mara froze. Then she returned the embrace. "You saved me," Ayla whispered. "Not just my dress, not just my wedding. You saved the truth." But Mara shook her head. "No," she murmured. "You saved me." Ayla pulled away. "What do you mean?" Mara smiled. A real smile, one untouched with regret. "Your love proved the prophecy wrong. It proved that not all marriages are traps. Not all truths destroy. Some reveal paths worth walking." Ayla blinked, overwhelmed. "Mara, what will you do now?" Mara looked down at her hands, hands that trembled not with curse, but with possibility. "I'll keep sewing," she said. "But from now on, I'll sew beginnings, not endings." Word spread, just as fast as the curse once had. Brides heard first, then grooms, then mothers, fathers, bridesmaids, planners. The tailor whose stitches once broke weddings was now stitching futures, real ones, true ones. Brides began seeking her not out of desperation, but hope. Mara changed her shop sign. It no longer read, "Mara Loon, Tailor." It now read, "Mara Loon, Weaver of True Vows." And people believed it, because the legend of the curse didn't die, it transformed. People said Mara's gift was never to break weddings, it was to reveal truth. If love was false, her needle unmade it. If love was true, her needle strengthened it. If love was harmful, her needle exposed it. If love was real, her needle illuminated it. And that became the new truth of the town. Years later, Mara sat by her window once more. The sun warmed her cheek. Her hands moved with steadiness and grace. A young apprentice stood beside her, Ayla and Jonas's daughter, grown now, curious and bright. "Miss Mara," the girl asked, "is it true you used to break weddings?" Mara chuckled softly. "I didn't break them. I just revealed what was already broken." "And now?" the girl asked. I handed her a spool of golden thread. "Now," she said, "I help weave what's whole." She threaded her needle with golden light. Outside, the river hummed its everlasting tune, no longer scolding, no longer roaring, but harmonizing with the gentle rhythm inside the shop. And Mara stitched, not curses, not endings, but beginnings. Bright, honest, beautiful beginnings. The end.
एक शहर था जहाँ नदी गुनगुनाए, चांद की रोशनी में वो चुपचाप सिल जाए। जिसने भी पहना उसका रेशमी ख्वाब, कसमों से पहले टूट गए सारे जवाब। लोग फुसफुसाए उसका नाम लेकर, सच डराता है झूठ के जाम लेकर। वो नहीं तोड़ती जो सच में खरा हो, बस उधेड़ती है जो पहले से मरा हो। सोने की रस्में, छोटी कसमें, दिल में राज, होठों पे सपने। कोई भागा, कोई जग गया, कोई टूटा पर कोई बच गया। हर अंत में दर्द जरूर मिला, पर बाद में सुकून भी तो खिला। जो आज कोसते हैं उसे हर पल, कल कहते हैं बच गई थी जिंदगी असल। सोने की रस्में, छोटी कसमें, दिल में राज, होठों पे सपने। कोई भागा, कोई जग गया, कोई टूटा पर कोई बच गया। फिर आई एक सच्ची मोहब्बत, डर के साथ थी पूरी हिम्मत। सच बोला गया चांदनी रात में, दूर नहीं टूटी उस बात में। सुई रुकी, किस्मत झुक गई, पहली बार चुप सी रीत रुक गई। लिबास भी थामे रहा, क्योंकि प्यार सच में पूरा था। क्योंकि सुई जानती है दिल का हाल, काट दे झूठ छोड़ दे सवाल। अगर टूटा तो था ही अधूरा, अगर टीका तो प्यार था पूरा। कोई जानती है